没有走完的路不会是终点，故事的走向是自己选择的坚持。
这个故事的开头还算不错，相信过程，相信自己走过的路。
那些最激动人心的冒险，从来不是单枪匹马的挑战。
과거는 잊으세요. 내일이 새로운 시작입니다. 내 경기가 새로운 도전입니다.
我们愿意为胜利付出许多代价，改变只是其中之一。
어떤 사람이든 현재에 만족하지 않고 어떠한 사람이든 제자리 걸음을 하지 않는다.
过去的荣耀就存留在记忆中，这一抹红色要照亮未来。
为之付出的心血越多，收获的果实才越甘甜。
赛场上的事怎能尽如人意？我只想追求无愧于心。
保持微笑，胜利总会专顾你。
在尝过赢得一切的滋味之后，你绝对不会甘心做第二名。
尖矛和利刃是勇者的武器，也有最坚硬的盾和扬起风帆的大旗。
如果翻不过这座山， 他们就听不到你的故事。
这个故事的结局将由我们来谱写。为了无悔，为了胜利，为了站在世界这边。
Week 1, Day 5 of the LPL, and we're back, boys, from the heart of Shanghai and the top of the Super Brand Mall and the LPL Battle Arena. But that said, we're doing a bit of a globetrotter, if you will. We're going to all of our away arenas today, or at least 3 of them. Hangzhou up first, then Chengdu, and finally the revealing of Xi'an, Team WE's new arena. But right now on your screen, Hangzhou that's PYL. We haven't seen him in the game yet, but we're going to see him today. And they're facing across from Suning Gaming in our first best of 3 of a very stacked day. Again, it's an early start. It's going to be an early start tomorrow, so prepare yourself for a possible 9 games today. Is now Suning Gaming filling out the paperwork, crossing the I's, dotting the T's. Said that backwards, but that's okay. I'm Indiana Frosky and Black. I'm your host. I'll mess that up all day. And I'm here with my analyst, Brinto Raz Mohammed. Every time I say your name, I want to say Razzleplasm. I'm so sorry.
One day you should say it, just to mix things up and make people wonder, like, where did that come from? Well, guess what? It's silly as hell. Just keep it in the back of your minds.
Just keep it in the back of your minds. We got a lot of stuff to get through today, so we're going to go ahead and quickly go into the standings because the LPL has been a stacked region, which, by the way, welcome Europe to 8-11. Watched those games last night. Just as crazy as what we had over in the LPL, but the standings are showing a bit of semblance. You know, Invictus Gaming, Rogue Warriors still sitting at the top, but we have had a couple of upsets so far this week.
Yeah, immediately going towards OMG for me because, yes, OMG and Snake happened earlier on in the week. OMG took the victory with one new player coming to mind, Mountain, and it looked incredible on their end because that was up against Snake. Snake came back, immediately getting a 1 win for themselves. So 2 games for them, just rounding it up 1-1.
And our international viewers will notice that Edward Gaming, Team WE, and Royal Never Give Up have yet to play. Team W will be playing their first game just today, the very last series that we have, as well as their match of the week tomorrow. And we'll also see Edward Gaming and RNG take the stage tomorrow because of Asia Games.
Yeah, there we go. Welcome back from the Asian Games. It's going to be fun to see how they're shaping up because a lot of people will be like, well, they're not practiced. You know, this is the first games that they're playing. This is not the first games they're playing. They're playing a lot of games coming into this one, so they're well and truly ready for this.
Yeah, that said, but let's go ahead and take a look at today's matchup and kind of do a little bit of a deep dive on the 3 best of 3s that we have today. It's Suning versus LGD, Rogue Warriors versus OMG, WE versus TOP, and again, Hangzhou, Chengdu, and Xi'an. 3 different arenas today.
Yeah, this is what I love about franchising. Immediately now that the new teams are starting to get ready for it because Suning Gaming coming to mind, going up against LGD. Remember, Suning played yesterday, going up against Vici Gaming.
Yeah, played here in Shanghai, because again, we are in our Shanghai arena, then had to get on the train, I believe, and drive down to Hangzhou.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just what's going to happen now. Hangzhou is very close to Shanghai, so it just means that that gives them that 1-day travel time. So there we go. I mean, they don't have a lot of time to scrim immediately afterwards, just have to get on the train. So that means that you have to work around your prep time. Prep time came before the last game.
And ultimately, these aren't the only arenas we have. This is just 4 that are on Showcase today, but we have a total of 6 arenas, including our Shanghai one and our newest one in Beijing.
Yeah, RNG is going to be playing at the very last day of the week. Hopefully they're going to be in Beijing, so that'll be fun to see how that's shaping up. It's great to see because, you know, there's already been announced that the next year you're going to see a lot more teams going forward. I know one name that came to mind was Jingdong, so it's going to be great to see how franchising goes in that direction.
The Battle of Beijing between JD Gaming and Royal Never Give Up. It's what I like to see. And what's also cool is if you're a history fan, Xi'an used to be the original capital of China, and so you have Team WE, World Elite, you know, the former dynasty, and then you have the current capital of China in Beijing, and it's RNG. I think it's nice how it kind of mirrors current history happening right now.
Yeah, you know, 2017, the year of WE. You're talking about way back in the history. You can even just go to the fact that WE was 2017, RNG 2018. Maybe WE can come back and make it work, but it means this split has to be a major resurgence for them.
That said, let's go ahead and hyper-focus on today's first matchup. It is going to be Suning Gaming versus LGD on LGD's home turf. Now, like you said, we just saw Suning play yesterday, and one of the key names that was missing from the roster was Knight, but Xiaoao managed to put up a good performance.
Yeah, so Xiaoao, we already saw him before Knight came on towards the team. It was the Xiaoao show. So Xiaoao was sporting the Jax pick. He was going to either play towards hard splitting on those nice key picks for himself, or he's a great team fighter. So, I mean, we heard confidence from the coach that it was going to be all about Xiaoao, and you would expect this matchup to be all about the top lane because that's the same case for LGD.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're looking across, it's Jinnu. If you're going to find a North Star now that Imp has left LGD, it's going to be that top laner. You know, we call him Shy Light, but you look at the numbers, and he's pretty much almost outclassed in every single metric by Xiaoao.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that, just because it was LGD as a team that even though they live and die by Jinnu, recently and in last split, they've been dying a lot. That's just the problem with the team a lot of the time. So even though the strategy goes through you, if the strategy doesn't work, you start failing. But it's been coming in pretty hot in their last set. Remember their first set going up against Invictus Gaming. He got himself the solo kill on the tank matchup, so you already see that he was doing quite well for himself. I would love to see the new picks that he does, because in solo queue, he's coming up with the Aatrox spams.
Yeah, but then on the other side, Xiaoao, as we take a look at some of his highlight reels, whereas Jinnu's known as, you know, the hard carries, the Fioras, things like that. Xiaoao, he's been branching out. He's got his Mundo, he's got his Singed, and let me tell you about that Singed yesterday. If you didn't see it, it was dirty.
It really was! The man was getting dived repeatedly. He was definitely public enemy #1 going up against VG Gaming. What makes it worse is this. And by the way, I lied, because worst guess to worst. Look at Audi. The man is not going to live for much longer than this.
Exactly. It wasn't even worse right there. You're like, miss the E, that feels bad. No, this is the worst moment. Zoom it in.
No! Still hurts me. that's literally coming out the BM, but really though, the fact that both of these top laners are going to be coming in, because we already mentioned it, both teams lost secondary carries. One in Imp, the other one in Knight. So now it just seems like it's all going to be centered on that top side of the map. It's in the top laners specifically. It's going to be fun specifically for Jinnu, because Jinnu's been known coming out with the Riven pick, now Aatrox. I don't know if he's going to just hyper-focus on the picks that have made him worthwhile, because if that's going to be true, then we're going to be seeing junglers go in that direction as well.
Are you under the same mentality? Because Clement says that the top lane is actually less impactful than it ever has been, despite all of these picks. Well, why?
So the reason for it is because mid lane has been ridiculous as of late, pooling into jungle. So resources at the moment have been really heavily towards the mid lane. So that's the meta. But I feel like both of these teams disregard that because their key players, the ones where historically it's been working for them, has been in the top lane. So feels like today is going to be a bit of a meta busting.
Meta busting indeed. You can see that we're getting some shots from the Hongju Arena. It has been built specifically for LGD. If you've never seen it before, you got the big LGD screen. If you actually look at the seats themselves, they're massaging chairs, and they spell out LGD in red and black. So as you face the crowd, you get a nice little, you know, morale support for the team looking out across their fans.
And I know that one of my days off, I'm going to have to go to this arena. You're right about the massage.
Just to get the massage.
Exactly. And I always, here's the problem with that, because it is a double-edged sword. You want your fans to be up off their seats, cheering as much as they can, and they do cheer. But whenever the camera pans towards them, they feel a little bit too comfortable. Going up against Suning Gaming, you want to be able to get behind your team. This is going to be the Suning Gaming roster as we're talking about it. So Xiao in the top lane, Hacker in the jungle, Fen rounding out that mid lane, and bottom lane, Fury and Yoon.
And that's been the real surprise. You know, without Knight, a lot of people started to peg Suning down the standings, but Fen showed out great yesterday. You know, had some Aurelia games, was known for his Cassidy, so definitely fits in the assassin play style that we need for this meta.
Which is a big surprise, because he's been known as the tank player, going towards Galio more often than not when we last saw him. So showcasing that he can play Aurelia, though a lot of people will be like, well, yeah, she's the strongest pick, why wouldn't she play? you'd be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, looking at the LGD team.
Now, our hometown favorites, it's Jinnu, Amy, Yuki, FDY, and PYL returns. Now, the first time LGD faced against Invictus Gaming, it was Newt in that support role, but calm yourself, LGD fans. Your captain, shot caller, and hero has returned.
Yeah, I'm happy that PYL is back just because they needed some veteranship on the lineup. It seemed like when they had Newt, it was literally just Jinnu. So now you have somebody that can speak to the team, and it makes it work a little bit more fluidly.
And speaking of the man himself, you saw it there. It's now Xiao Ao on the screen, so even the observers know this matchup is going to clash in the top lane and be very volatile. Both these guys play the lane, not to win the lane, but to kill the other guy.
Hell yeah! So that's why this game, and I know this is going to be very similar to all you solo queue players out there, might be ending at 10 minutes. So like at that point, it's just about the laning phase for me, even if we see the Ornn pickup coming from Jinnu, because even though the coach is saying, all right, team fight, 20 minutes, Jinnu's like, I know how to
team fight now.
Team fight now.
Kill him.
I don't have anyone else. I am the team. So that's where I'm looking at this top lane matchup and seeing that it just depends on that point of a game. Because a lot of it means that now jungle is going to be rushing into that area. Perhaps Yuki, since he has roamed in the past, last play, he's been roaming quite a bit when he gets his lane rolling, that it's going to be 3-man fights in the top lane. And maybe if we see bottom lane centric, maybe if I'm proven wrong, it's still going to be really hectic early because the TPs will be channeling.
So quick, from the hip, who's going to win?
Oh, Sunning. Sunning looked good yesterday. I think they'll look good today.
Okay, well, you heard it from Raz here. So Sunning Gaming's going to win. We're going to see what's going to happen. Sending it over to the casters, it's Dom and Rusty.
Thank you so much. Like we just heard from the desk, my name is Dom. This is Rusty, and welcome to 2018. Imp is gone from LGD. 1,247 days he has been wearing the jersey, and now he's finally taking it off. This is a new team. The Sleeping Dragon has got to reforge themselves in their new arena into something different, something new in this 2018 LPL summer.
And if you're an LGD fan, there is still hope behind their new AD carry in FDY. I know that PYL's still going to be there. And look, everyone could perhaps even speculate that PYL may be a part of the problem at the moment with his archaic shot calling and decision making.
Archaic, okay. Experience.
Well, he wants to lane swap, still he can't. He wants to control side waves, he can't because they're diving him. You know, things have changed with this roster, but what we can tell is that FDY's got a lot of potential as an AD carry, at least mechanically. And if the decision making of PYL can come into the future, effectively work with a new player, it's a new start for both of them, right? And it's a new opportunity for LGD to get it together.
And I think this is where we have to set the stakes for how LGD take this matchup, because considering they are playing with Yuki, they are playing with FDY and Jinnu, if LGD want to win this, it's not going to be through outskilling their opponents in these 1v1 matchups. We hype up the top lane for Xiao Ao and Jinnu because that looks like it's going to be the closest, but elsewhere on the map, especially on the 8-11 meta, it's going to be a lot more spicy.
Yeah, what's interesting about this, and specifically for LGD, is that their last set was against Invictus Gaming, and that's a team where you come in, you're like, okay, we are outmatched individually. Yeah. Absolutely. They didn't even have PYL playing in that one, it was Newt. But what they did to circumvent that was lane swap. They played to avoid their opponents. They tried new things and they understood that they weren't as strong. Coming into this game, I don't think that same mentality will carry through. I think they will still try and keep up with Sunning Gaming individually, but you're keeping up with an early game team.
Yeah, they're certainly going to have to. Already, though, it looks like we're seeing LGD trying to rise to meet Sunning as they've got Rakan and Vladimir likely going down into that bottom lane on this 8-11 crazy awesome fun patch. I love how awesome and widely varied. It's also fast. There are capture points. The minions are different. 8-11 is a brand new world. But LGD, they're looking for something aggressive with this Vladimir and Rakan. Perhaps they could be looking for the teamfight, for the engage, to try to meet Sunning head-on in this early game.
And with an early start of the Nocturne from Sunning Gaming, it definitely feels like they're going to be trying to pick people off, round the composition out with some extra damage, perhaps even just an engage tool to go with the Nocturne. And you'll have yourself a very powerful pick style of composition. The support still being missing is curious from Sunning Gaming. There was a higher priority on that one yesterday, especially with the Rakan now being picked by LGD second. Alistar still comes into the mix to me, and LGD may even start to ban them away from you.
Yeah, we'll see what that's going to be as Olaf is now picked up for Amy. Well, presumably Amy. If there's anything that we know from watching the LPL, the LCK, and even the EU LCS, none of these picks are locked into a lane until we get to the final pick and then the final swap. I think it's about 40 seconds of the last 60 is when we'll finally know. But like you said, Rusty, there's that Alistar. So LGD, they're thinking that, hey, maybe that support spot is open. We should probably try to trim it down a bit.
And I think more importantly, they're also thinking that Suning Gaming haven't prioritized their support. They've gone for the Swain earlier into the mix, and that to me is a super curious option. Fury can play it in the bottom lane though, so that's where it all comes back to the flex pick discussion. You don't know where either of those champions are going. You only know where the Nocturne is. So what I do like from LGD here is that they remove the Alistar, definitely get rid of the other strong champion that is coupled with bruises in the bottom lane incredibly well, and then pick an Olaf for yourself third as well. Get the jungle matchup, don't let them ban it away. So now, even with the Jax ban by LGD, Suning Gaming banning a top laner for themselves, well, LGD actually get to pick first because they're on the red side. So they actually get to choose which lane they want to take priority in or counter pick for.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see where they look for that counter pick as well, because they'll also get to see the final composition from Suning. So will Suning keep LGD on their toes with their final two picks themselves and try to look for a few more flexes? Or are they just going to show their hand now as Aatrox is going to be locked in for LGD?
I'm not shocked that there's an Aatrox lock-in, but I do think that, you know, Jinu being one of the big carries of the team could have afforded himself a last pick potentially as a counter pick against Xiao. We don't know what Xiao is going to be playing just yet, but now he knows his matchup, and will we just get the Singe from him, you know? Will we get a fighter matchup such as the Camille that's being hovered, or will we get the tank that worked very effectively for him yesterday?
We're about to find out. Camille is the lock-in for Xiao Ao, and the final champion for Suning, Shen. I mean, who really knows at this point? You can really fill out that roster just about any way that you want to, but we're still going to be looking to see how they decide to flex this out and shake out the final few champions.
Camille can jungle and Nocturne can mid lane. There's always an opportunity. I'm never going to discredit that.
Great roaming.
Shen also seems to be the best in the bottom lane right now, something that is often being banned away alongside the Camille and alongside the Lucian. This is the first Camille that we have seen in the LPL that has gone into the second pick or ban phase at all. So not a high priority for either of these teams, but still a very strong lock-in. Keeps that 100% pick ban regardless.
Yes. And now we're looking at the final one. That Aatrox, with the hovers that PYL is showing us right now, I mean, I know he's a bit of a troll, and the Renekton lock-in, I'm not so certain that Aatrox might be going in the top lane.
I'm not so certain. And then we just let it simmer. We see where everything
see how it actually shakes out. All right, Renekton AD carry for LGD, FPY, going up against Swain and Shen in the bottom lane, with Vladimir in the mid lane, Olaf versus Nocturne in the jungle. As we've got our final lock-ins, it is in fact Aatrox versus Camille, so you were correct about that fighter matchup, but this is, we'll have to see how this is going to shake out.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised that is where the Renekton ended up as well, into the bottom lane specifically. Not going to be filling the AD carry role, but perhaps there will be some crazy lane swaps or some aggressive starts here, and he knew what he was going to be playing against it. And that's the thing, you know, we're at a point where it's only week 1, it's only day number 5 of our week. We still know where these teams and where these champions specifically tend to go for themselves, and at this point, you know that the Shen goes bottom lane.
Yeah.
You know that the Rakan was obviously going down there, so that's what you're looking at as the bottom lane with the 1v1s. We've seen Suning Gaming play the Swain bottom, so we also know that that's most likely where it is going to be, as it has quite strong control, and they even take that with a Vladimir, rather against the Vladimir, which was a winning matchup for them yesterday. So they try and force LGD to change their lane assignments up, right? They put the Vladimir mid lane as a response LGD, and they pick the Renekton to try and have a better 2v2 lane in the bottom lane. And I like that for LGD, because that unlocks PYL. And an unlocked PYL, whilst it's a blessing and a curse simultaneously, still has a blessing in there, and that's extra vision, you know, the ability to work with Amy, work with the jungler, and get around the map.
It sets up for LGD in the way that we've always expected from LGD in the past. Imp was the player who could sit under his turret safely and farm while PYL would be roaming, hooking up with Amy, hooking up with Jinu, or even Yuki and Nanju. But now we've got FPY trying to hold his fort in that bottom lane on this Renekton of all champions against a Swain and Shen on that bottom half of the map, plus the dive potential of a Nocturne. I feel like there's so much potential for a submarine composition almost out of LGD, not in the traditional stealth sense, but suddenly one person shows up, and then you've got Shen, Nocturne, a teleport from Camille. Regardless, we've loaded on the Rift for Game 1 between Suning and LGD.
Starts with a little bit of early damage there onto FDY. No summoners to be used, however. And to bring it back to your Nocturne point as well, there's a lot of damage that can come out of Suning Gaming across the whole team. But who's that Nocturne assassinating, first and foremost, is always going to be the question, right? When there's 5 bruisers on the opposing team, Nocturne doesn't always have the best experience. But what I will say is that at level 6, if he gets a gank off, they're all still fragile.
Yes.
At level 6, if he gets the kill, he snowballs, and they all stay fragile to the Nocturne as he starts to get lethality and further damage items. So there is always going to be a high threat champion coming out of the jungle role of Suning Gaming. Last we saw them play, their jungler was the carry.
Well, Hacker, he's going to have to put out some work if he hopes to start setting up his team in this one. As LGD, they surely see it coming. Renekton Rakan in the bottom lane. Lots of crowd control. A very early ward for Suning is going to spot out Amy. Of course, Olaf, as is expected, wants to jungle at nice low health so that he can clear a little bit faster. But that could open up some invades for Hacker if he decides to head over to that side of the map, or perhaps even for a lane if they wanted to try to push in with Hacker after taking early control of the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, a lot of League of Legends right now being level 2 gank based, or level 5 trying to power farm or find your opponent jungler, right? So they've found their opponent junglers. They both started on the bottom side of the map with the duos, looking for that better leash or to hide vision perhaps. Either way, pathing towards the exact same side means they're not going to be hitting the level 2 ganks. You can see them moving now. It's about that next step because the Scuttle Crabs have been secured by Suning Gaming.
Just a level 2 all-in, that's what the competition is. Renekton Rakan, the auto-attack and the ignite, but under the turret, PYL and FDY both take a hit. Yoon is going to let them go. I wouldn't have. There it goes. The Visions of War, a flash. Visions of Empire, sorry.
Yeah, it's not just letting them go. There's still going to be that follow-up pressure. Bruisers, man, you never know.
Yeah.
You're watching a bottom lane. I'm so used to it being calm for the first 3 to 4 minutes down there, just pressure and surviving. But no, everyone's a bruiser. Everyone has kill threat. And once again, you see the opportunity arise for the Renekton Rakan. A big reason as to why they picked this duo was that they could potentially have the kill threat over that Swain, who isn't strong that early into the game. But now all 4 summoner spells used by LGD and 3 gone for the side of Suning.
Oh, the never move Shadow Dash. FDY slides in and out. But this wave is pushing away from him, and Fury is back up to nearly full health.
Yeah, this lane's over for LGD. They have to recall and reset it so that they have an opportunity to come back. Because they have no summoner spells, they have no health. They can't afford to stand there and even soak up the experience after that last trade they just lost. They need to go back to base. They even started with double support items, and I don't discredit that they've started with those items, but they have no stay in lane.
Yeah.
If that was another item, perhaps the kill was actually there. That's just the hindsight, however.
I mean, we're looking for LGD to reinvent themselves in this 2018 summer without Imp in the bottom lane. What better way than to all in your opponent's level 2 and say, we are the alpha lane. The only tragedy is that they didn't get any kills, and like you said, now this lane is going to become a whole lot more difficult. So perhaps LGD trying to prove themselves in the 2018 summer.
And already 20-6 in CS with a held lane pretty nicely here from Fury and Yoon. So the CS advantage will continue to grow. Whilst it doesn't mean a great deal in itemization right now, that lead will persist and you would expect continue through the next couple of minutes. So that's where the junglers have to come into play. Olaf quite capable of ganking that bottom lane, especially if it starts to push, but he's looking mid right now instead.
Running forward to Ben, flash, and the axe. Amy with the dive, gets an auto attack, stun under the turret. Amy's got first blood, but the turret finishes it off and gets revenge.
Good flash from Amy to secure the kill, but not enough mobility to get himself out afterwards. So just goes down. Yuki does not follow up with the flash afterwards, following the Aurelia. So they don't find themselves the clean kill, but you take that kill. We do take those if you're LGD.
We do take those. To quote the young Daniel Dracos, here goes Amy as he's looking for the, well, maybe he's looking for the chase. There it is, finally dived forward.
Level 4 sitting on a red buff, was going towards the Raptors, the opponent jungler hero Packer. Good flash, of course, Fen does still get an auto attack and the ignite off. Ignite meaning a great deal there for the kill being secured.
Now looking back at this bottom lane, it's a good thing FDY doesn't need to use mana for those abilities because he's already down to low health, and I assume he would be at low mana otherwise. But the wave is starting to push in. Nocturne is on this side of the map. Hacker could try to be setting up for a dive. Eldritch Flash, the flash, Shadow Dash, and Visions of Empire again. Yoon is going to go down to the turret. PYL is going to force Fury away while Hacker retreats as well. So another one for one.
Yoon's my kind of support, man. He just flashed in and suicided to get the kill. That's what I'm talking about. Keep FDY down. That's his goal as a support. He's still going to get experience. He's going to get gold for the kill. And he's feeling really good about himself because there was a minion wave crashing under the turret. So if you trade 1 for 1 and LGD lose 20 minions, that's a win.
That gold differential. Whoa, what a never move. PYL gets caught with the battle dance. Still going to land the grand entrance though, and another ignite. Fury digging down. The axe from Amy is going to get a kill, but Hacker follows up. Another 1 for 1 could be on the cards here. Hacker
never ends.
Breaking it off in the top lane. Jinu unable to escape the Hextech ultimatum. Close, but no cigar.
You can't get out of that one. So Xiaoao gets the kill in the top lane with FenFen being up there. FenFen does, however, get that gold. Yoon comes back, FDY comes back to lane after. Both of their bottom laners have passed away as well, as Amy and Hacker found themselves in the bottom lane. Yuki's the only one that's in Zen mode right now, just farming it up in mid.
He's playing PvE, everyone else is playing PvP mode. But like you said, we have to highlight that goal difference between FDY and Fury. 37 to 15 in that bottom lane. Even Xiaoao with the kill that he was able to get onto Jinu, plus the standard laning phase, is already 10 CS ahead in a double fighter top lane. So right now, Suning have set themselves up for success with this early game. And while LGD have got the 5 bruisers, they kind of needed a little bit of a snowball, I feel like, to really get off the ground.
Man. And you know the thing with, if anyone's played top lane, you know full well that if you die once in lane, even if you just miss a wave of experience, you lose lane until your jungler comes to help. And you just sit there pinging assist, waiting for him to come to you, because you know it's not going to...
But what if that's every lane? Where it's bruisers in every lane and then a kill goes over.
So the thing there is that both junglers have been ganking. They've both been successful in their ganks, so they're both actually relatively fed. Nocturne at level 6 has got a lot of extra utility in the way that he can deny teleport, so that he can just prevent vision in general. So it's reliant on better communication from LGD to be in the right place, knowing where he is going to be before he presses that ultimate. Olaf doesn't have the same mobility. However, he does have 2 kills, so he's upgraded to Ninja Tabi with Predator. He moves very quickly when he looks towards those ganks. So what you expect here from both of these teams is a successful next gank. It should be successful because of how fed the junglers are. It's about what they can get with those kills, because now their lanes are just in chaos mode. If they get a turret after the kill, they actually open the map up for themselves.
And this is where we look to Amy and Hacker's positioning. They're both heading up towards that top side of the map. Hacker with a fresh recall, still no boots, but Amy is sitting in the brush in the back. He's got his Ragnarok. Jinu preps the wave, but Hacker is getting closer and closer to that top minion wave. And Xiaoao just plays it safe, backs up and retreats. I feel like he's the first person to have actually done that maneuver, play a safe laning phase outside of Yuki in this game.
Yuki's just playing laning phase. He seems to not be willing to contribute to his team's movements around the map currently.
Oh man, love me some patch 8.11. 9 minutes in, still the junglers just continue to clear out their camps, maneuver around these lanes, and try to accrue more gold so that they don't fall apart more in this mid-game, because this is looking a lot more volatile for LGD. First Dragon is an Ocean, so not a huge incentive to take that early on.
It's absolutely more volatile for LGD, though, and all of this is through the bottom lane. Renekton behind is going to definitely struggle, but it also means that Sin and Gaming are strong down there, so Fury and Yoon able to be a pivot point where a jungler could come or where they could leave lane after getting the push on. It's all down to whatever SNG decide to do or want to do. And all of this time is spent where PYL is not going to be unlocked, he's not going to be free, having a bad time.
Shadow Dash, and again, the Visions of Empire. Fury is going to go for the Demonic Ascension, holds on to it, but Dominus was used by FDY and the Exhaust.
And they both have ults that make them bigger and more angry as well in the bottom lane. It's great. Not quite Astus,
but who's bigger and angrier? Is it the Raven or is it going to be the Aurelia in the mid lane? Yuki ducks under the ground. Let's see, Hacker just goes for the dive, chases him deep, but FenFen gets the kill. The follow-up now is FenFen takes a turret hit, and he dives back around the minion wave, lands the stun. No way, FenFen will finally get shut down, but Hacker is caught by Jinu on the other side. And that's going to end up being 2 for 1 in favor of LGD.
Oh, hang on,
bottom lane, there's the quickness. Shadow Dash in order to escape, but Fury stalls him out with the never move. I cannot believe he still managed to hold on to that. Still holding on to the Demonic Ascension, too.
That was actually really well done from Fury to disengage. PYL was looking for his opportunity. Well,
and
here goes
the
Fury.
Demonic Ascension, that's it. Dragon Trainer Swain has found himself a new pet. FDY gets put back in the cage.
I guess a style flash as well wants to just secure the kill and look cool while doing it. Gets some extra damage onto BYL. FDY had a flash of his own, so just the safety there from Fury. Secures it. Control of the bottom lane persists from Suning Gaming. Top lane turret also goes down as the first in the game for Xiaoel because Juno tried to leave his lane and assist in the middle lane. This is absolute chaos, but still all of the victories go towards SNG overall.
Absolutely wacky. I mean, we've joked about Dominion a little bit earlier, but this, I gotta say, patch 11, it's fast, it's fun, it's wild, crazy adventure time. You could pretty much play whatever champion you want. Yuki could get in trouble here. Fen, I think he's just flexing on the mid lane right now. Doesn't even have his Triforce yet.
This is one of those things where, you know, we watched Fen earlier. We didn't know how good or bad he would be. We knew he was a Kassadin player, and we even alluded towards Aurelia having a lot of mobility, Kassadin having a lot of mobility. He can effectively play the same style and be successful at it. And you're seeing exactly that, and we saw it yesterday. So it's a surprise he gets the champion. This flash, avoiding the Olaf by flashing onto the turret to dive, and there's a shed that was magically coming and somehow wasn't. Got completely cancelled out, so Fen does die in the end. And Jinu coming here, gets the kill, right? But Xiaoel was also pushing top lane through all of that, so they get a gold lead.
Like you said, it's Suning Gaming that are setting the pace for this game, and LGD who are forced to respond, and that's going to result in 2,000 gold so far over the wall. Here comes Jinu.
Here comes LGD.
Pops that Predator, and Scuttlecrab is ready to get involved as well.
There's no ice spawning anymore.
Ultimatum stunned onto Shelly the Herald. They're going to try to finish it off, but they chase forward onto Hacker. They're going to kill the jungler. He just flashes over the wall and can get back in. Smite from Amy should be getting that Rift Herald, and they've separated Fen from the team, so LGD are the one who turns Suning's play.
And there's 5 people now in the mid lane. Jinu's going to go back to top, of course. That's the Herald being summoned. He's not freaking out next to the wall. It's all good. And that turret in mid lane's definitely going to go down if they continue the pressure here. Minion wave or not, Shelly will make the difference. Great plays coming out of LGD.
Of Empire, and they get some damage onto Yuki, but Nevermove doesn't tag him. And Shelly will be close to finishing off this turret. Amy will finally walk up and get the last hit. LGD will break it down, but there's the paranoia.
What are you actually doing, though?
I think he's just using it to give them paranoia.
Right, well they're gonna...
That is the ability. I mean, even in the top lane, Xiaoel actually had the freedom to push into Jinu.
Yeah, Xiaoel's been pushing ever since the fight happened towards the Rift Herald, which LGD used to get themselves the turret. And he is winning the trades up there, so it's working wondrously for Xiaoel in particular. That paranoia was just a bit of a whiff. Whether it was vision denial or not, doesn't matter, because LGD had already got the turret, backed away as a team, so... There's nothing really to be paranoid about if you were them, besides, you know, who just backed away.
Well, now I have to imagine LGD are thinking about it. Wait, why did he use that? Now they're actually paranoid, not in terms of just vision, but in their own head.
I really don't.
We're going real deep.
I really don't.
Sorry, I'm going real deep to try to justify Hacker's use of his ultimate there. But he's level 10. He's getting close to that level 2 paranoia. Decreased cooldown, increased range, more effectiveness in chasing people down. But that middle tier 1 has been broken by LGD. That should give a little bit more freedom to Amy to maneuver around the map. He has been trying so hard to affect his lanes, and it seems like he's the one who's benefiting from this mobility. He's 3-1-2. Keeping pace with Hacker and CS as well, only about 20 down.
I mean, he's doing super well for himself. Amy on the Olaf has got the ganks up successfully, and more so that he has found Hacker and has just knocked him down time.
Yeah.
He ever finds him, he goes for the 1v1s. Even though he's down a level, Amy, it's the brute forcing style, I guess, out of LGD overall. Look at them waiting in the wings. They've got vision. And Suning Gaming clearly aware by the way that they were trying to leash the red buff, aren't going to commit to it until they see Jinu or they see Amy on the map.
Even PYL's hanging out in the mid lane, just in case. And that means that he's leaving FDY out to dry once again on that Renekton. Amy will be able to take this red buff, but it's still Suning setting the pace, pulling LGD apart, forcing them to make bad decisions. Or decisions that are either not good or worse.
The worst option, you could even say, depending on the situation. Hitting big item spikes as well, actually, across the board for both respective teams. The Trinity Force has been there for a little while for Fen. For Fury, has got the Rod of Ages. And even a Black Cleaver for FDY, considering how poor his lane had started. And that he's still 40 CS down. Gets himself the Black Cleaver, still has an item spike. and may still be relevant in the forthcoming fights, particularly in assisting Jinu. If they both get into the back line, Jinu's doing well for himself. He's getting his items, getting his bar. If they work together in tandem with that Black Cleaver shredding resistances, then they can assassinate people very effectively.
That very well could be the strategy, but LGD are currently setting up and taking the Ocean Dragon 15.5 minutes into the game. They've managed to sweep out Suning's bottom side of the map to make it unsafe.
I am seeing some apprehension.
FDY is actually stepping forward. That's the never move and demonic ascension. Like you said, double teleport. FDY is the target. Over the wall, Xiao Ao gets the kill. It's 5 versus 4 now. As Jinu has been hoofing it down to the mid lane. They've caught up to Yuki. He ducks down into the sides of blood, but just the chase from Suning. The mob squad, as they get another kill onto the blast cone. They get split up, but Xiao Ao is right on top of PYL, who's holding onto his flash. Great entrance, but the chase and a knockup from Xiao Ao prevents any follow-up.
Yeah, the blast cone's actually the MVP there. Yep. Knocks everyone apart, disperses the fight as it were about to happen. Camille also using the ultimate a little bit earlier. The end result's still that Suning Gaming get kills, but it's all retrospect. Drago's taking Fed.
Yeah, in the mid lane, way too far forward with no backup. Just turned on by Amy and Jinu.
All right, I give up.
You gotta have some question mark pings there.
I'm just playing. I sound like a news reporter. You know?
And back to you in the mid lane. Oh, Fed getting ganked.
Now coming in live from top lane, someone else overextending without vision. Back to you mid lane. Same thing happening.
This just in. Suning take bottom turret. LGD still struggling. 40 CS down.
LGD aren't even struggling, man. Like, there's a gold difference.
I feel like FDY is
but
struggling, but that's about the extent of it. 15 CS for Jinu down. It's not that terrible.
It could be worse.
Yes.
Think of it from that perspective. And more importantly, the reason that I don't think they're struggling is they're getting objectives. Suning Gaming are giving them the space to get objectives, whether they should be or not, right? And I actually credit a fair amount of that to the Nocturne pick. He got early kills, but so did Amy. Amy's then found the Nocturne, has beaten him down, kept him into the confines of his own jungle, and has really struggled to get plays after that hacker. Hasn't found an opportunity, misclicked an ultimate once, presumably as well, and just hasn't really been on the board. Meanwhile, LGD, they're getting vision in places, they're setting up for objectives very quickly, I might add, still setting up for them, and just doing it. Suning Gaming always late to the response, it feels like. Whilst they're reacting well once they get there, late to react.
And this is where I think we have to credit LGD's experience for PYL and Jinu. Though they might be trying to rebuild as a new team without him, with FDY in the bottom lane and Yuki in the mid lane, we still can see the years of setting up for objectives and preparing wards in advance and communicating with his team that PYL brings. Even if sometimes he does go on some wild, wacky warding missions that could get him caught out of position. We haven't seen any yet in this game, I should be clear. But of course the series is young.
He's unstoppable, by the way, so he does get away.
Yeah, still Suning going to be pushing up the mid tier 1. Fury and Yoon have been swapped over here. Fen and Amy, or sorry, Fen and Hacker are hanging out on the sides just in case they wanted to follow up and look for a dive.
Yeah, all grouping up towards mid lane LGD, and at the same time, Suning Gaming were looking to pressure the turret. They took pot shots and tried to find the opportunity to push it down. But when your team has one ranged champion, and that's a Swain, it's a very difficult thing to navigate and actually get the structure down. So Yuki, as the Vladimir, is actually able to use his health as a major resource and try and keep the minions away from the turret in the first place, prevent Suning Gaming from getting there. So you can see what they've done in response to this is they've sent the Aurelia back down the bottom lane. Fen goes to a side lane. You've got Xiao Ao on the top lane, is Camille split pushing up there as well. And then they bring 3 to mid, but they don't reveal the third member. So they've got the Swain and Yoon here. They've got the bottom lane duo pushing mid, pressuring. Hacker actually perhaps looking for assassinations in those side lanes, threatening LGD. And if that is a successful even just bait, or idea that LGD have to consider, PYL may leave the lane to place vision, and that's when they could strike him with.
And that's where we're starting to see some defensive wards from LGD on that top half of the map in their own jungle to keep an eye on where that Nocturne is, to keep an eye on whether or not he could be bottom. FDY has been farming in that bottom lane as a result of this. He's only about 30 CS behind Furia right now, level 10 to level 10.
And LGD
so
have just made a move,
experience.
They've gone up towards top lane. They were looking for the Camille, but it already recalled. They've actually lane swapped this time around. Fen is an Ignite user, right? Yes. He's not the teleport user, so he does have to be on the Baron side of the map. And it's good to see that they've recognized this sooner rather than later, before it ever becomes an issue. They send their Camille with teleport down towards bottom. Teleport not up yet, but up soon enough that they can do that swap.
And that does mean that Xiao Al gets at least a little bit of time to push into this bottom wave, and we could be seeing the momentum swing back for Suning. If Yoon doesn't get caught out of position, he's fighting for some wards here, but Amy and Jinnu,
that's a cute little place squad.
They're waiting over the wall. That's the Predator. The first undertow hits Yoon, and Amy decides he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yells bro, runs away. Next time, bro. We will be mine. I think they were perhaps even considering Fury above Yoon. Yoon obviously having the dash to get away. And the flash, very hard to chase down, but they don't have anyone bottom lane. Hacker doing what we expected, looking towards bottom, but the Olaf is also here.
He's sneaking forward. Xiao Al going to step up, but FDY doesn't want anything to do with fights. Amy says, can we kill him? And FDY says, no, minions. I have to get the swipe Tiamat proc and clear out everything. And now he's getting pulled away from the lane again. Yeah, Jinnu is finally getting pulled over here. Still, Xiao Al is going to trade some attacks against him and just whittle down that turret. Next Dragon's up in 15 seconds, and still Hacker is hunting. Will he be able to find him, though? Xiao Al
is on.
Gets one. There's the Paranoia and the ultimatum. Jinnu pops into Massacre, but he's able to get out of the ultimatum. Leaps away and has the flash. Xiao Al dives, but over the wall goes Jinnu. Now, Jinnu does not have his revive anymore, and Xiao Al has to walk through these minions. PYL. He's waiting for that hook shot cooldown. He's waiting for the outplay. Xiao Al is looking for it, but he's caught in midair by FDY, who finally gets his first kill of the game. In the mid lane, Fury is going down to the Emo Plague. Amy flashes for the style points as Yoon is forced to retreat. And Amy,
stop yelling!
Get your hand off the emo button.
He just keeps yelling, bro. I'll see you, Drew. Stop! That's classic. All right, LGD, they're teleporting. They're going to the Baron. They're going to yell Bromacia the whole way because they've killed Fury. Yoon has to recall. And Bromacia.
Absolutely. His bedazzled jeans have now made their way over to that Baron pit. Fen from over the wall. Looking for the 1v5 steal. Drops a ward, but a control ward denies it. Yoon is there along with Hacker. No Paranoia, but it's level 12 to level 12 on these smites. Yoon sitting on that side, waiting for the big shadow dash. He does have flash. That's the teleport. And they're going to turn and look for the kills, but Fen goes in. He's going to start dancing around. And Xiao Al joins the fight, and it's a bruiser brawl. They're all grouped up and hopping up and down. Yoon is forced to back away as Hacker gets a kill at the cost of his own life. Meanwhile, they turn around onto PYL, who's knocked back. And in the chaos, everything disseminates, and it ends up being 11-11.
Yeah, 2-for-3 trade is the end result, and everyone has to go back to base with the tail between their legs because they're all battered and bruised. FDY may not be able to deal with Xiao Al in the top lane though, so Sinning Gaming still keep control of the map a bit better as the end result of that fight, and pushing mid lane, so they should get themselves a turret. It's a win for Sinning, but
we can't exactly say it was a planned win. It was more of a reactionary, oh no, we've been caught in two places at once, well let's just group up and not lose the next fight.
It was kind of a fight where I thought that LGD had the upper hand and should have been able to successfully win. It was a sick ultimate out of Fen though to disable a lot of them from dealing damage at the very start after the taunt came out from Yoon. You can see them all there locked up. Xiao Al also getting in with Hacker. And then the disengage, trying to run backwards, and PYL is the person who overextends just a lot of a bit here and does find himself dying with the rest of the team running away.
Yeah.
Could have been good for LGD if PYL just didn't go a bridge too far, but he was about 7 bridges too far.
Give or take. 1, 2, and 4 right now. I have to say, Fen, he disarmed 4 people with that ultimate. I mean, sure, you see them go into the cave and he gets the ability to jump around, but disarming 4 bruisers in the current meta, absolutely awesome ultimate. That probably helps turn that fight around. But now, as we're getting to that 24.5-minute mark, LGD are a roaming death squad, a band of marauders moving around the Baron buff. They just saw Xiao Al on the other side of the map, and there's no vision from Suning.
They do it fairly quickly here, Dom. It's not going to be quick enough that Suning won't get here, however, as they're re-engaging.
They turn and engage. Fen is the target. He flashes back. There's the Paranoia, but there's no chase. Fen goes in, drops the ultimate again, as Hacker joins the fight. The AoE is stacking up, and LGD in the corner are going to slowly start losing members. They've lost 1 so far, but Yoon can't get over the wall. That's another one, but Xiao Al is trading it over crazy. and the ace for Suning as they manage to get a triple kill for Xiaoao.
Xiaoao and Fury just go off in that fight. We won't talk about what Yoon did unless there's a replay, but the rest of Suning Gaming looked incredible. A massive shield coming onto the back of Fen. You can see they wanted the fight. You can see that LGD tried too hard to force that fight in the first place. PYL using the major engage source that they have just to find a single person and not even lock him down. So the Baron secured by Suning Gaming. And LGD on the back foot. They're even going to wait for the
respawn. On the timers. Hacker and Fen are almost back up. 600 health and it's healing. There they go. They get one and buffs on both. 5-man Suning buff. The charity from the team. You gotta love it when that happens. Guys, can you slow down Baron real quick?
All right,
nope.
So PYL goes in. Let's not look too much at what Yoon does, but let's acknowledge what Yoon does. Of course, the ultimate comes through, doesn't get it off, taunts into a wall, realizes that he's not next to the Aurelia who has disappeared. So the rest of the fight is secured by Xiaoao and Fury, the ridiculous amounts of damage. And just great team fight awareness, honestly, from Xiaoao using the hook shot, finding the right targets at the right time.
Like you said, just setting up for those bruisers. Yoon and Xiaoao setting up for Fury as well, but Xiaoao is chasing Yuki over here. They've got that Baron buff for a good 3 minutes now, and all of the tier 1s have been broken, even the top tier 2 by Xiaoao earlier.
But man, he's level 16, 5-1 and 5 with 3 complete items, and the next closest on the other team is level 14, so no one can actually trade with the Camille. This game with a Baron buff, you would just say is outright over whilst they have Baron. No one can fight him, so towers will fall no matter what. They've even got a Nocturne split pushing on the top lane right now. Side laning, because the Camille's going to bring so much pressure, he's going to guarantee a turret elsewhere.
Pushing all the way up to that inhibitor, you can see Yuki. He's trying to figure out which lane he should defend because Xiaoao is going to start pulling some attention. Hacker has the ability to join that fight in the mid lane with his paranoia as LGD. They're defending the mid-tier 2. When they have been reacting to Suning's plays, they have been largely successful. But when it's Suning who have been reacting to LGD trying to make something happen, Suning have been leaps and bounds ahead of LGD, but the bottom tier 2 is left completely open. It's going to go down 5 turrets to 1. 10, nearly 11,000 gold advantage for Suning, and they're not done.
Yeah, Xiaoao is just daring the closest person to come up and try and deal with him, and we all know that that's just a pipe dream. It's never going to happen. They can't get up to him whatsoever. They need 3 people, frankly, to actually get him dead. So Suning Gaming, they're able to push forwards in mid lane. They've got the 1-3-1 set up. Hacker is in the most awkward possible place until this wave continues to push.
Yeah.
But it is in the correct position as of right now. He's in ult range, and they've got 2 people dealing with bottom. Ball is in Suning's court.
Yuki steps up to the minions, but Hacker and Fury going to start trying to clear some damage onto the turret. Never move. Fury's really the only ranged member who can get damage onto it.
Hitting the turret as well, but he's definitely trying to hit spells and catch the Vladimir first. Maybe get some chunk out before stepping too far up.
Yeah. He does have the Morello, so we'll be able to apply Grievous Wounds and potentially spell it out. Maybe they're just relying on the cannon at this point as the remaining members of LGD finally step up to clear out that wave, and Hacker back into the mid lane.
Yeah, so they're actually...
Oh, they're actually diving. That's the paranoia. They're looking for the kill. Hextech ultimatum, and Xiaoao just gets the solo kill nearly. Stand United, actually, he's got some assistance from Yoon, and they're diving under the turret. Hacker finishing off the turret. He's going to get there, but here's the rest of Suning set to finish off this game 1 as they just mob onto LGD. And in their first series against LGD again, Suning are showing that they are the superior team here as they turn onto this inhibitor.
Yeah, 4 dead from LGD. Xiaoao does die. The raid boss is down, but 4 members strong with a Baron buff. You would expect the game just ends right now. Nothing the PYL can do to stop the freight train that just rolls through.
Yeah, they turn onto the Nexus turrets. PYL can do nothing but watch, as you mentioned, and LGD fans will once again have to suffer a loss at the hands of Suning here, as the 2 teams that are trying to rebuild themselves with the loss of their star player. It's Suning who comes up aces in game 1.
Certainly is out of one of the most chaotic games that I have seen, in every sense of the word, I feel like.
Love me some good old-fashioned chaos.
People say that 8-11 is a Fiesta meta. That's how a lot of people want to describe the meta, and I don't think that's entirely true. But I do feel like this game encapsulated a lot of that into one neat little bundle.
So what then is the difference between a Fiesta and chaos? Because we're calling it chaotic, but we don't want to call it a Fiesta.
I'll give you an example, right?
All right.
In this game, the bottom lane is fighting and the jungler is there. So on the top side of the map, you don't have your jungler, so you should back away. but then they're fighting. And then you look to mid lane, and one of them's also fighting, and he's got top lane, but the other mid lane is just farming mid.
Yeah.
So like nothing is happening cohesively. It's all just happening at once.
So is this just a decision-making breakdown that we're seeing in this 8-11 meta, or is it just everyone saying, I have the chance to make something cool happen by killing my opponent, I'm going to do that?
There are certain things at play that you may not expect in League of Legends anymore, and I do think that's the hardest thing to deal with on the newest patch, right? So if your bottom lane is fighting and your jungler's down there, you know you should back away, but you also expect their jungler will be there, and you don't expect a mid laner to be at the top lane as well. Like, different things happen, it causes chaos, and through the chaos that is caused, certain teams tend to thrive in that. I think Sin Gaming is a great example of it. They're an early aggressive team, they're a bloody team, they want to go forwards and make big plays, and they're free to do it wherever they want, whenever they want right now.
And it certainly worked out for them in that game one. Now it's time for our analysts to make sense of whether it was chaos or a fiesta. To you guys.
Just straight animal style, if we're going to take a page out of EU's playbook there. But thank you, gentlemen. Now, Raz, I want to jump immediately into some of these compositions because they were just talking about, you know, you're seeing all of these champions. There's all this kill pressure, the fact that you can use kill pressure as a priority in this meta. And the one that really speaks to me is Aurelia. Like, we've seen Aurelia as kind of like the blind pickable. Either she's perma-banned or she's perma-picked. And so now I want to throw it to the genius, the true analyst on the desk, the one who knows everything. Why Aurelia, Raz?
I don't even know how to follow that up. I feel like I'm just going to immediately disappoint people. But I won't disappoint you with that question, because the question on Aurelia as a champion, yes, a lot of the numbers about her are strong, but her early game is actually quite weak when it comes to certain bruisers. So bruisers have been coming out in LCK, specifically the Renekton and Darius. This time it is going to be the Renekton.
A Renekton?
Yes, and here's the problem. Okay.
But Raz, the Renekton went bottom and not against Aurelia.
And this is where my mood was like phenomenally high. And then when we get to the game itself, and it's going to be Vladimir in the mid lane, it's like... So I thought the Renekton would be a great pick for the mid lane. Obviously, we've seen the Renekton versus Aurelia matchup historically, and it's even with the changes that Aurelia had, she still had a fairly weak early game in terms of the damage that she's outputting. Renekton's great for that. We've seen the Renekton there. So I'm disappointed that came through, but the reason for it is just going to be in the bottom lane. The Rakan-Renekton combination should be able to force fights, force pressure, so the 2v2, they valued that enough to have it there. But the Vladimir is going to be falling behind because it really should have pressure.
And we immediately saw that in the game. Our very first replay, it was like you were saying. So they sacrificed having the Renekton-Aurelia matchup because they have the Rakan, and they value that 2v2 kill pressure.
Tell me about the 2v2.
The 2v2 did not go... I believe we were watching the clip, and we're like, okay, this makes sense. They're going to go all in, they're going to kill, and they messed it up.
Because they were so damn close to the tower itself. Take a look at how close that is. That was beautiful. And then the pull-in too. So it could have been a PYL kill. And even though you come out of it and say, no one died, how is it that bad? Take a look where Olaf is. Olaf is in the top lane. So how is PYL and FDY going to push in that wave? Quick answer. They can't.
They don't have the jungler to come down and assist them.
Yes, and they won't. They play it safe, and that's why they end up losing it. A lot of scrims, a lot of games that you see behind screen. Oh, I guess you won't see it. But a lot of games that happen behind screen, that's where you end up saying we lose the lane entirely because we have nobody that can help us. Obviously, Vladimir is not going to get in the push in the mid lane, so you can't even be cute enough to say, okay, push the lane and come for me. Come for me, mid laner. That's not going to happen. So that bottom lane, from that point forward, are just perma behind in CS, and they will always fear the enemy jungler. So that was just really unfortunate that they come off in that game right off in the back foot.
I mean, it's basically a situation where LGD initially had control over the ball. They had possession of it. They put all of their eggs into the bot lane basket. Bot lane fails, and then you put the Vladimir into the Aurelia matchup. That's going to go nowhere. I mean, we did get initial jungle assistance. So now, ball's on the other side of the court. It's now in the power of the Nocturne and the Camille.
Yes.
And you immediately honed in on that. You're like, this combination is deadly.
Fabulous. So we've seen a lot of Camille in play. Camille is a great champion. And a lot of her, even though she's not a tank, she is a great team fighter because combined with the Galio, combined with the missile himself, the Nocturne.
The guided missile.
Exactly. You see beautiful stuff like this, where Nocturne goes in first because he's able to get the jump on, but it happens fairly quickly. Put in the ultimate, and even though we didn't get to see them get trapped because you immediately die in the Camille ulti, we saw it happening later on in that game where the Camille is just split pushing away, and it's the Nocturne using her as bait and playing it back, saying, anybody that tries to mess with my girl, I'll be on you right quick. That actually just happens in that game entirely. So at least LGD recognized that, and they never took the bait, but that's the problem. Suddenly they cannot make plays they cannot punish anyone because they don't know where Nocturne is, and they're fairly certain he's tied to the Camille.
And then you have this composition where your Renekton, your Rakan failed. Your Vladimir was never going to take off against the Aurelia. And then your top lane is an Aatrox who is like, he's either on or he's off. And suddenly LGD have very little win conditions. And it calls us to our last team fight, which was right before the Baron. And now they don't even have to play this Nocturne Camille side lane. They can just group up with all of their gold and jam it right in LGD's throat.
And this is where you would want, if you were LGD and you say, this looks good for us initially because we can get the pick. We're forcing the enemy team to our play. Look at Fury. So Fury's online. He's had a lot of gold underneath him. He has full fragments at this point. So the damage that he's able to get at this point of the game, boom, big enough, good enough, that even though Suning start that fight off on the wrong foot, they already have the numbers to take the win.
Also, I do want to give a shout out to Fenfen. That was some sick Aurelia play right there. He got a really beautiful ultimate. BDD and Xiaohu would be proud. So
Yeah.
my last question then, Raz. How the hell do you fix LGD? Because the thing is you're a former coach.
Yeah.
Got good bit of reputation behind you. If you're looking at LGD, who have continued just to slide further and further backwards, I mean, obviously they hit the reset, they blew up their roster, they've tried to put it back together, but yet they continue to make these types of mistakes and not find the success that such a godfather organization should be finding.
We have this discussion quite frequently, and the word that comes through quite often is identity, right? What is the team's identity? This game, it was a pretty stark, I would say, reason for that. They had a lot of pressure bottom lane, they fight bottom lane. Well, the jungler's not in the bottom lane with you, and even though they think they can do that for free, do you want to do that if your composition, or at least your team, plays towards top lane quite heavily? And a lot of teams, I would say Suning is really famous for recognizing that their pressure is going to be mid lane when they have Knight, or top lane when they have Xiao Al, and bottom lane, for the most part, plays it safe and say, we'll just farm up bottom lane. But that doesn't happen for LGD. For LGD, quite frequently, we see skirmishes happen in the bottom lane when it's unsupported. And so they do need to get themselves, I guess, dug out of their positions. So LGD needs to just go right back to step one, where they realize, are we a bottom lane team early on? What are our compositions going to achieve?
So you're saying this is like basic fundamentals, like figuring out who you are. Are we playing around our top lane, or are we playing around our bot lane?
Yeah, because ultimately the decision making is something that happens, that we question for this team a lot. And even though PYL is a veteran, historic support that has had high highs, has been on a world stage, he is far from that stage now. It seems like he's plummeted in a point where a lot of the decisions and a lot of the plays that come through are just poor. So next game, hopefully we get that. I think this game was just one mistake that really just costed them time and time again. But we're talking about split after split that this problem has been occurring.
That said, PYL still a veteran in his own right. That said, our man of the match, Xiao Al, is starting to become a veteran in his own right. He does take the MVP on that Camille performance, and rightly so. It felt like the composition really was centered around him with that Nocturne, that devastating 2v2 combo.
Yeah, for me, 70% kill participation means that a lot of composition surrounded him. You're right about the composition surrounding him with the Nocturne, and it just showcased how focused this team is when they have that one lead, that they're willing to just go at it time and again.
And showcasing that they do not need Knight to carry. Now that said, this is not a best of one, this is a best of three, so we will be coming back into game 2 between Suning and LGD.